Jim Distortion here, doing a daily short for Distortion's Got Issues. I wanted to talk to you about conflict, not wars, something on a more personal level. Are you afraid of conflict? Are you afraid of a conversation that might put you on the back foot? Do you feel awkward if you're in a situation where maybe you have to tell someone the truth that they don't want to hear? A lot of people are. To be honest, I've been in situations like that as well. You know, I'm not a person who will go out of their way to interact with people in a negative fashion. I'm certainly also not somebody who will tell something an untruth for an agenda. You know, so what I'm really talking about is conflict for the good. You know, the good of things. So you have to tell someone a home truth that will either make them fight you or be upset or not want to be your friend. But if you go into that situation with, you know, the attitude of truth from knowledge is the key here. Knowledge is the power play. Say one of your friends is going out with a girl and you know, and you've seen her with other people and she's sleeping with other guys, and, or, you know, your mate is seeing another man and you know what's going on with him. You know, you've got some kind of insider knowledge, not gossip. Not something that you've heard through 4 other people, something you've seen for yourself, and you want to tell them that. Are there people out there who wouldn't tell them that because it would hurt them? Yeah, of course there are. There are people in the world who will say to you things like, I only say it how it is because it's the truth. Actually, 90% of those people are just assholes who want to tell you the truth so they are right. The common condition, you know, the human condition is governed by people who want to be right more than, you know, being able to see a bigger picture. You might be right in a single situation, but you may be wrong overall. Also, telling somebody something that's hurtful and painful, yeah, you better be right. And also, why are you doing it? Ask yourself that question. If you're doing it because it makes you feel good to be right about something to somebody else's detriment, you're an asshole. Yeah. If you are a friend of someone and you know it's going to hurt them what you're going to tell them, but they need to hear it, and then they themselves can decide what they do with that information, then you're obviously somebody's friend, and you know you love this person, you know, in a friendship way, or you love this person for real. You know, never think that you can't have confrontations because you may be in danger of a reaction. Yeah, you will be. And I can guarantee, in fact, I've done it. Okay, there was a friend of mine about 10 years ago who was going out with a girl, and she basically was just siphoning off his money. And I found out about it directly. She had his cash card, and she was hiding it from me when I come by. And I said, what are you doing? And all that. And then I saw the card, I saw the name on the card. I said, why have you got his card? Does he know? He said, oh, yeah, of course he knows. So I phoned him up and said, look, you know, do you know this bad's got your card? And he said, no. Why would she have my cash card? And I'm like, right, there you go then. So I left it. I said, best you have a word with her then. She just said that she needed 20 quid and she did all this. And then it turned out that basically she'd been siphoning off money for a couple of months because he was very well off and didn't know that was what was happening. But when I told him that, I did not go and do that to say this girl's a nightmare, you know what you're doing. I did it because I knew she was stealing from him and he needed to know. He then turned round to her and said, don't steal from me. If you want money, ask and I'll pay. This isn't a deal breaker for him. You know, he has a lot of money. He still does. But what he did, though, was then, you know, with that education that I'd given him, with that information, that pertinent piece of information, he was then able to make a decision about his and her future that he wasn't party to before he got that. He got a bit mad at me, you know, at the beginning. But, you know, he was like, well, why are you telling me this? What's your problem with it? And I'm like, no, listen, you do with what you want with the information. That's the truth. And I have no agenda. And then he came back to me 2 days later and said, look, I'm not going to finish with her. I like her. She gives me something that, you know, that maybe I wouldn't get anywhere else. And I've told her that if she steals from me again, that's it. And I'm like, you deal with that. You know, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here just to tell you the reality of that situation. Okay, that situation is slightly skewed in as much as that the man decided not to act in the way you would expect him to. Yeah, she was stealing from him, but actually she didn't have any money, and you know, she wanted it, so he forgave her that, because money isn't important to him on the same level it would be important to you and me, maybe. So Joe Rogan, who is a guy who has a very popular podcast on YouTube and everywhere else, is a mixed martial artist fighter, and he doesn't care about conflict. You know, he comes from a standpoint of, I can tear you apart, whatever happens, right? But he's not arrogant with it. He said, honest conflict has more social value than dishonest harmony. And I think that's an important point. So if you go to somebody with honesty and integrity and knowledge and impart some knowledge, that has a lot more social value than someone telling you dishonestly that they believe in you and they believe in what you believe in, and they're your supporter, when actually in their heart they're going, God, you're an idiot, I just want friends. Do you know what I mean? So being honest may cause conflict, but if you're not afraid of conflict, you can defend yourself, and you come from a position of power, i.e. knowledge, then yeah, you might have a fight, but what you're doing is right. It's not, you know, standing back and watching a car crash happen that you knew was going to happen. Not everyone can do this. I'm lucky, right? I'm 6'2", I'm big, I'm brash, I'm bold. Inside, yeah, I may have reservations about who I am now, but when I was 25, 30 years old, I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about conflict, I didn't care about fighting, I didn't care about any of it. In fact, sometimes someone might say I enjoyed it, which makes me an arsehole, right? Back then. Nowadays, yeah, I can walk into a situation that I know is going to be conflict and try and diffuse it. That's why I was hired as a bouncer, to diffuse situations. That's why I was hired by quite a few different clubs and places to go in there, because if I've got someone with short man syndrome who's got pissed, who's trying to fight some big bear of a man, I can then go and tell him, look, it's all right, mate. You know, you've got nothing to prove. You know, go and sleep it off and do all that. And, you know, you can diffuse the situation because you can see what they're doing. Yeah, I was never paid money because I was good at fighting. Jesus, I was just big. But also, my size and my stature made me a target. But if you're erudite enough, you can talk your way out of anything. And if you have to fight, then just make sure you end it quick. Yeah, you're not there to prove you're Bruce Lee. You know, you're there to look after people, and that's the key. So honest conflict in societal terms is something that I don't mind doing, as long as I'm right, as long as I'm informed. Yeah, because being a person who talks about, I only tell the truth the way it is, it's your perception of truth, it's your angle of truth, it's your truth that can Jimmy Bar open the door that you want on your agenda. But honest conflict is something that you can step into. And you may get yourself into trouble, but in the long term, if you love somebody, you know, if you're friends with somebody, if you want them to know and be okay, then you knowing that truth and you walking into a conflict on that level, that's the right thing to do. Press the subscribe button or watch another one. I'll talk to you tomorrow.